one important point which we kind of heard a lot of time for a decade. Can India be the destination of global manufacturing hub? Can we become the sort of a China chapter 2 for the global perspective? What are the hindrances? What is the playbook? Why India has to change? And those are 5, 6 pillars which we observed actually. One, scale. So normal manufacturing, can it be scaled across to the global perspective? So scale was not being adhered to. I think, even in the finance perspective, supply chain financing was never heard in India. How do I scale my supply chain? Working capital financing, never heard. Design-led manufacturing, because we are now looking at more and more modular way of looking at it. So again, we never saw that happening in India. In fact, largely when I was talking to Amrit, and Amrit, probably enlightened us saying that how he has been helping for organizations to do a design-led manufacturing, Mint-Zetwerk manufacturing, setting the future of manufacturing in India. Various chapters. Today's chapter is resiliency in the supply chain. Supply chain is something which has come into a foray. Earlier, the disruption for 1 day, 2 day, a week, 2 week. I think it's now 2 years of disruption. So I think reconfiguration has happened. Many of the manufacturers have started getting a position open, which is called, chief supply chain officer. Earlier, it was never there. Have you ever heard about chief supply chain officer? I saw IT companies doing a lot of analytics around supply chain risk management. Supplier 1, supplier 2, destination 1, destination 2, region 1, region 2, the backups to backups. People are thinking about consolidation of the supply chain, warehouses and everything. People are now thinking about distribution, fragmentation. Can we fragment that? So I think it is pivoting, and it is very important to hear your views today. You are practitioners, you have been running organizations, progressing fast, but you must also face challenges today. Okay? So with this as a context, guys, thank you very much for joining. I will start with a question, very simple question, future of Indian manufacturing. I think, is this promising enough to us or not? Very simple question. What's your viewpoint? Do you think that we are heading in the right direction? And if yes, why? And if no, why?
I think, India as a country, the kind of population, the kind of consumption we have, we definitely can consume everything what we make. So, and definitely there is a second path to export then. And the kind of manpower we have, though, the things are still evolving. But it's definitely there is a scope. There are a lot of elements I think we can gonna touch base later about design,
Sure.
IPs and all. But yeah.
But we are looking at in the right direction. That's
I think we're heading in the right direction. We are starting, and for our space, we have started well. But yeah, how we speed up and how the policies we get support definitely should help us that.
Things are really looking good for the manufacturing sector in India, and we are very upbeat about this entire Atmanirbharta drive under the guidance of our Honorable Prime Minister.
Sure.
And a lot of things have happened. Basically, if we look at how the manufacturing industry, how the supply chain has got many policy initiatives from the government, let us look at some of the key things. One of the most important things for manufacturing sector to gear up to be a world-class manufacturing setup is to have a very robust supply chain.
True.
And when the government says focus on the MSMEs, that is one of the best things to happen. MSMEs have to be the backbone of our economy. The supply chain also has to gear up like that. The MSMEs have to come up. Unfortunately, in the metro sector, till now, we have not been able to break the glass ceiling as far as the supply chain availability in India is concerned, but we are working towards it. And we cannot do it on our own. It has to be in tandem with the metro corporations in India and with the support of the government. And some of the steps in this regard, like the PPO Make 3 order by the government, then, for government companies, for PSUs, basically use of the government e-marketplace, that is a GEM portal. These are some of the things which are giving a drive to make local. make local, being local. My idea is assembling is only the first part.
Yes.
We should move forward from assembling. We should move towards, manufacturing the aggregates here, the components here, and then only we can be a really self-sufficient or Atmanirbhar manufacturing hub.
I think the whole value chain stopped. I think somewhere, the ERPs of systems where they're fed, and then we were looking at it, but we were at home, we can't touch that, right? But then suddenly we saw transformative productivity, because then plants started operating at an 80% capacity with 45% of the labor force. So I don't have the 100% of the labor force. Suddenly the intersection of the technology, suddenly we realize that we have transformative productivity on that side. Now, the problem was that we are still at 80% capacity, but the supply chain was impacted. Because most of the products, most of the supply chain was from outside India. So the question I'm shifting, as you said, is yes, government has to do a lot of things, right? And how are we going to manage this risk? How do we become from a fragile to being a resilient?
I think so. The first word I would like to coin is agility. So, not just to say, okay, we are into world of agile manufacturing. Everything has to be agile now. So, I think the manufacturing engineering teams, the design teams, the entrepreneurs,
Yep.
the leaders, they had to demonstrate that leadership, and it will always come through planning agility. So, I believe agility is going to be very, very important thing.
To answer your question, to get real agility, one is just the upgradation of the technology table is very important.
True.
It could, and technology is two types. One is like the real, like how to make that product.
Sure.
But there is a lot of secondary technology which is workflows, process orientation, etc. Credit is a very important part, especially when you in India specifically is very, and now with interest rates getting increased, ultimately the pinch will fall onto the last mile itself. And lastly, yeah, this integrated approach to supply chain, which is what we alluded to earlier. It's not just assembly, assembly, vertical integration downstream. What is being imported? Can we localize? Having that integrated view is very important.
We all probably agree that India has that potential to become a major manufacturing hub. But I think it also starts with, if we look at how we develop our own manufacturing capability, whatever we have today, we can become a big
Can we
manufacturing hub.
realize this potential is the question.
I think I agree. But as they say in our management principles, every strength becomes our weakness, and every weakness becomes our opportunity. Because we are primarily a consumption-driven economy,
Yeah.
our manufacturing outlook has also been limited to that respect. Our contribution in export, if you go on a global scale, it's negligible.
Manufacturing is 200 years old for us guys, okay? We have been doing it. I think we have not done the justice to the manufacturing growth. We have not done the justice to that kind of ecosystem development. Policies came later. I think first the industries came, first the organizations came, first the people came.
I always
right?
say jokingly,
Yeah.
the IT sector could grow because government didn't understand what to do with IT sector.
Very well said. If I look at parallelly, and my business case today with you guys is, and my thinking is that we have to change the setting of manufacturing in India. Right? The way we are looking at the manufacturing, it has to change. Right? The corridors of supply chain, I mean, drivers is an issue, but is it a big problem to solve? When we can have 80 lakh engineers produced per annum in India, we can have few thousand drivers can be produced.
Can I share a perspective?
Please.
I think resources will flow to where there is opportunity.
Sure.
And by resources, that may mean capital, it may mean entrepreneurial talent.
Yep.
I think capital and people are the two main things, right? The two main ingredients. I think where India is in terms of entrepreneurial talent in 2022 is vastly different than at any point in the last 20 years, or if you take 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. Right? We have 100 unicorns now.
We'll see how many we have. But we have a lot of entrepreneurial capability.
No doubt.
And we have a lot of capital that is available to finance those entrepreneurs. These things didn't exist, forget 15, 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that there is an opportunity now that has not previously existed, which is with the disruption to China's supply chains and the geopolitics. There's a very real China plus one tailwind right now.
Yes.
Right. It's our luck. It's not happened because of anything we've done, right? But and we've spoken to buyers, in particular in the US, across sectors.
Sure.
It's a hot topic for them.
So I agree with you, but I was talking to limited partners, and as part of my media interactions, a lot of limited partners I interact, Indian as well as foreign. When it comes to entrepreneurs in a tech sector or on a IT services side or IT side, right, a lot of funds are available, a lot of capital is available, and people are really trusting India to invest and grow. We saw the exit last year. I think we had 22-25% exit in the IPOs happening. So the LPs got the money back. Let's say this way. But if I ask them, please do on a manufacturing side, supply chain side, they'll not trust. The trust level of the funds available in the manufacturing perspective or supply chain perspective versus the other sectors, the healthcare sector, edtech sector, fintech sector, is vastly different today. And this is LP. LP will flow to GP, GPs flow to VCs, and then we see this how money flows. The funds of funds are created. So I think there is a level of trust from a quality perspective. There is a level of trust perspective saying that are we going to create finished products which are global at a quality level?
I'll share my perspective
Please.
on this. I think that the opportunity will be in building organizing layers, right? And I think capital, and those will be built by, let's say, more technology-oriented entrepreneurs.
Yes, so somebody like, let's say, Zetwerk organizing layer, and then board and noise can actually hook their, sort of a supplier finding job and integrated supply chain to. Am I speaking on your behalf? I don't want to.
No. We totally agree. I mean, that's the thesis of our business.
Yeah.
Like with any such brands, boat or noise or even industrial companies, there's a lot of front-end work left to do, like design, building the brand itself, marketing that brand. And that's where we feel that their capital and their resources should go. And manufacturing should be as simple as click of a button, let's say, over a period of time. And that's the vision with which we built the company.
Okay.
And to Bejal's point, we'll try and create that middleware of sorts, where there can be a brand on top and a manufacturer on the bottom, and just organizing that and making that layer efficient. And it could be technologies one level. Working capital, as you were pointing out, is another layer.
Absolutely.
Then there is logistics or freight is a third layer. All of these things are broken. As Sir was mentioning, when you isolate each of these points, you'll see a lot of opportunity, and then when you aggregate it total, you'll see why we are not fulfilling our full potential. And I feel there's a lot of opportunity for companies like us and more companies and entrepreneurs.
Innovation is linked with technology, but technologies is a very different type of technology. One is a IT based technology. You have systems of records and analytics and so and so. But manufacturing execution systems are very different. Right? PLM systems are very different. Right? Your product innovations and product manufacturing and design is a very different, right? The level of investment required from this to OT, which is operational technology, is huge change.
Decision making in manufacturing will not be driven by technology. The disruption for the first time, for example, the entire business approach is changing globally. We were discussing 10 years back, produce wherever it is cheapest and sell wherever it is, you can sell best. Today, everybody globally talking about China plus one, somebody said. That's the kind of approach in the change in the business has come in. And I think that's offering us an opportunity.
As Vaibhav rightly said, we may not replicate it, but we should learn from it.
We don't need to learn from any other country, guys. Frankly speaking, we need to learn it from our own country, from our own different sectors as well, and then come together.
So personally, I have no doubt that the whole resilience in supply chain management is bound to come.
Any 3 points to accelerate from 5 to 7 to 3 years. How do we accelerate, creating a more resilient supply chain?
more digital adoption in general. Like everything can be software driven.
And
Over
true
a period
digital.
of time. Yeah, true digital.
It's not about, recording an attendance. Digital.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly speaking, I don't want to be in that sphere. I think India can actually leapfrog and be truly digital, where CAD files are there and properly, we have all the information related about manufacturing.
Two biggest thing I would like it to happen into. One, government maturing from a regulator to a partner. Businesses will have to be, and business leadership will have to be more mature and sensitive.
Yes, there is a big transformation which has happened.
I think
It has happened.
realization
It
is
is
there.
happening. Realization is there. Manufacturing sector has got tremendous opportunity, and it should grow. It will grow,
Yep.
and we need thousands of factories of the world in India.
We will do it, and that's the objective of this forum as well as we move forward. Many discussions that we want to reset the playbook of manufacturing in India.
India is again, I will say that very unique, country. It doesn't go step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It can go from step 1 to 3, 3 to 7, 7 to 10. And that is why if you see the last 20 years of India, the kind of, innovation happening, the technology enabled things happening, it has kind of, gone way beyond some of the developed countries have done. And that is the uniqueness of India. Three things which would be really relevant. One is this whole faster pace of digitization has to continue, and in that process the value should be demonstrated to all the stakeholders so that they can realize you have to have KPI based discussions, you can have agile based approach.
Three things which will push manufacturing in India is the first thing is the branch have to have a fundamental paradigm shift in their supply chain thought. The total cost of ownership is not the net landed cost. What is the cost of risk, and therefore what you need to do? And the question is, why does anybody want local manufacturing? Patriotism aside, let's keep that aside for a moment. Why do you want to have it manufactured next to me? The time to market is faster. My inventory management is better. Now, once you start calculating all of this, it says that we need to have this local manufacturing. If I don't have scale, how can we work together with like-minded people on maybe not on the same product, but on similar component? First shift in the supply chain thought to look at volumes and how you can work together to get that scale up. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on scale because that is where cost comes.
I agree with you. The exponential will only come through shared organizations.
Yes.
Right? It can't come through individual organizations.
Right.
What I frankly, Uber, Ola is a great example, but until we have a shared organized sector where the shared values are there, we can optimize it heavily.
Right.
And then the scale will automatically happen.
So that is one. The second would be the kind of government support that is there and then what is required. So one is, say, for example, the rigmarole and the bureaucracy in terms of certifications and regulations. The government, as Bangasab said, becomes a partner rather than a regulatory authority. The second part, so two-way for the government would be labor laws. Now, once we are manufacturing, managing labor becomes super critical. Manufacturing is all about people.
I feel we are a land of opportunities, and that China plus one is a real good example. Investments are there, by the way. There are a lot of Zetwerk is a classic example. There are a lot of investors who are willing to put in money, and I think government is already acting as a partner. It takes time for everybody to evolve. They are doing it, and rest all is sorted. Post China thing, if you look at Vietnam, they have grown up drastically as a manufacturing hub. During COVID, I think we all explored other destinations, and Vietnam was the second choice for all electronics manufacturing. Foxconn and all are there. So manufacturing would happen. There are a lot of opportunities. Everybody is looking for second destination, which is only India after China.
India is a divide opportunity. We have a divided opportunity across the board.
But sorry, so for example, like Zetwerk, the consolidator. So that's the job they are doing. When you talk about logistics, delivery is a company who's doing a great job. And
either Zetwerk scale to a very different height, or we need many Zetwerks.
no, there will be many Zetwerks.
India becomes a technology provider from being a technology acceptor. Manufacturing is also added to it. All other sectors of the business are added to it, and more such structural and policy reforms take place in this country. Then only we will be a real manufacturing superpower.
Oh, absolutely. Please give him a big
Well said.
well said. I will not summarize it because I can't. Frankly, I mean the viewpoints have been shared are truly honest. In fact, thank you. I mean, it's an honor. It's an honor to have you here today with us. Your time is so precious. That's the most important, let me say, which you have given to us. Thank you very much for joining.